The medical component, the medical considerations become extremely important, perhaps paramount to such a trip.
Imagine being alone, truly alone, drifting above the lifeless expanse of the moon, with Earth a distant blue marble behind you, and an unbroken void stretching in all directions. Michael Collins, the unsung hero of Apollo 11, lived this reality as he orbited the moon in isolation, waiting for his crewmates to return. But what if, in those quiet hours, he saw something that shook him to his core and remained hidden for decades? Before his death, Collins finally broke his silence, revealing a chilling secret that NASA never wanted the world to know. And the revelation? Even today, it leaves us with more questions than answers. But here's where the story takes an unexpected twist. Elon Musk, the billionaire innovator behind SpaceX, Tesla, and Neuralink, has weighed in on this mysterious admission. Known for pushing humanity toward a multi-planetary future, Musk has often cited the Apollo missions as inspiration for his dreams of Mars colonization. Yet even he admits Collins's final words hint at a mystery too profound to ignore. So, what did Michael Collins see while orbiting the far side of the moon? Why was NASA so determined to keep it quiet? And what does Elon Musk's involvement reveal about the deeper implications of this discovery? To understand the weight of Collins' revelation, we must first understand the man behind the mission. Before he became the third astronaut of Apollo 11, Michael Collins was a test pilot, an innovator, and a man defined by quiet determination.
We crew felt the weight of the world on our shoulders. We knew that everyone would be looking at us.
Let's take a closer look at his extraordinary journey to the stars and the secret he carried to his grave. Stay tuned, because what you're about to uncover will redefine how you see space exploration and the mysteries it holds. The early life of Michael Collins. Before Michael Collins became the unsung hero of Apollo 11, his story began in a world shaped by discipline, duty, and a boundless fascination with the skies. Born into a military family on October 31st, 1930, in Rome, Italy, Michael's childhood was anything but ordinary. His father, Major General James L. Collins, was a high-ranking U.S. Army officer, and his family moved frequently due to his father's postings, places like Puerto Rico, Washington, D.C., and even back to Rome. This global upbringing exposed young Michael to cultures, history, and a sense of service that would define him. But it wasn't just his father's military career that set him on a path to greatness. Michael's fascination with aviation took flight early. He was captivated by the daring tales of Charles Lindbergh's solo transatlantic journey, a feat that sparked the dreams of countless young boys. Adding to his inspiration were the stories shared by his uncle, General J. Lawton Collins, a World War II hero who regaled Michael with gripping accounts of military aviation. These stories planted a seed of ambition, one that would grow into a lifelong passion for conquering the skies. As he later recalled, "I always looked up to the heavens and thought, what's out there? How far can we go?" This curiosity and determination led Michael to St. Albans School in Washington, D.C., where he excelled academically. But his heart wasn't in books or traditional studies, it was in the skies. Determined to follow his father's footsteps into a career of service, Michael set his sights on West Point. West Point Military Academy was no walk in the park. Known for its grueling discipline and relentless academic rigor, it forged Michael into a man of resilience and unyielding focus. In 1952, he graduated with a degree in military science, ranking 66th in his class. But his ambitions stretched beyond the classroom. Michael wasn't content with simply following orders. He wanted to fly. Choosing the U.S. Air Force over the Army was a bold move, one driven by his hunger for speed, innovation, and the cutting-edge technology of aviation. He trained at Columbus Air Force Base in Mississippi, earning his wings in 1953. The sleek fighter jets of the era, like the F-86 Sabre, became his world, a world of exhilarating freedom, but also grave danger. Michael flew with the 21st Fighter Bomber Wing at George Air Force Base in California, a thrilling chapter in his life. The F-86 Sabre wasn't just an aircraft. It was a symbol of American dominance in the Korean War and a testament to the raw power of human engineering. But as Michael quickly learned, flying wasn't without its costs. The skies were unforgiving, and the risks were high. He lost close friends to training accidents, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of precision in his craft. These experiences shaped his meticulous nature and unshakable resolve, qualities that would later prove crucial in the perilous world of space exploration. As one colleague remarked, Michael wasn't just a pilot, he was the kind of man who could keep his head clear in the midst of chaos. Michael's journey as a fighter pilot was only the beginning. His talent didn't go unnoticed, and soon he was selected to attend the U.S. Air Force Experimental Flight Test Pilot School at Edwards Air Force Base. Here, amidst the roar of engines and the unrelenting pursuit of innovation, Michael's path took a decisive turn. He wasn't just testing the limits of technology, he was charting a course toward the stars. Little did he know, these experiences would prepare him for the most daring challenge of all, leaving Earth behind and venturing into the great unknown. Michael Collins wasn't just a man who flew. He was a man who dared to push the limits of what humans and machines could achieve. His journey into space didn't start with Apollo 11. It began in the crucible of high-stakes experimental aviation, where he honed the skills that would later make him an indispensable part of the most famous space mission in history. But it wasn't always smooth sailing. Before he reached the stars, Collins had to prove himself time and time again, rising through the ranks of space exploration with sheer determination, becoming a test pilot. In 1960, Michael Collins earned a coveted spot at the U.S. Air Force Experimental Flight Test Pilot School at Edwards Air Force Base in California, a place where only the best of the best came to test the boundaries of aviation. Here, Collins wasn't just a pilot, he was a pioneer. He flew cutting-edge aircraft, including the legendary X-15, a rocket-powered plane capable of reaching the edge of space. With each flight, Collins pushed himself and the machine to the limit, experiencing speeds and altitudes that few had ever dared to reach. The X-15 program was not just a test of technology, but of human endurance. At speeds of over 4,500 miles per hour, there was no room for error. But the risks were immense. Collins witnessed firsthand the dangers of experimental aviation, losing colleagues and friends to the relentless pursuit of progress. These moments cemented his reputation as a pilot who could remain calm under pressure, a skill that would later save lives in space. As one instructor at Edwards remarked, Michael wasn't just good, he was unshakable. He didn't just react to challenges, he anticipated them. But Collins wasn't content to stop at the edge of the atmosphere. He wanted more. The stars were calling. Joining NASA. In the early 1960s, the United States was desperate to catch up with the Soviet Union in the space race. NASA needed astronauts, and Collins knew this was his chance to fulfill his dream of exploring the unknown. He applied to the astronaut program in 1962, but his first attempt ended in disappointment. NASA turned him down. For many, rejection might have been the end of the road, but not for Collins. Determined to improve his qualifications, he sharpened his skills as a test pilot and reapplied in 1963. This time, he was accepted into NASA's third group of astronauts, a class that included legends like Buzz Aldrin, Gene Cernan, and Alan Bean. It wasn't just about flying anymore, Collins later said. It was about being part of something bigger than myself, a mission that could change the course of human history. Key milestones in the Gemini program. Before Apollo, there was Gemini, the program that bridged the gap between Earth orbit and the Moon. And for Michael Collins, it was the ultimate proving ground. In 1966, he was selected as the pilot for Gemini 10, a mission that would test critical technologies for lunar exploration. Over the course of 3 days in orbit, Collins achieved something extraordinary. He became the first astronaut to perform 2 spacewalks on a single mission. These spacewalks were no simple task. Collins maneuvered through the vacuum of space, retrieving scientific experiments and demonstrating that humans could work outside a spacecraft. But it wasn't just about the spectacle. Gemini 10 also accomplished precision docking with 2 separate target vehicles, pioneering maneuvers that would later be essential for the Apollo missions. Through Gemini, Collins proved he had the nerves of steel, technical expertise, and relentless determination needed to handle the challenges of space. Preparing for Apollo 11. By the time Apollo came calling, Michael Collins wasn't just ready, he was essential. His experiences as a fighter pilot, test pilot, and astronaut had equipped him with the unique skills needed for one of the most challenging roles in the Apollo program: Command Module Pilot. Little did he know, his role in Apollo 11 wouldn't just test his abilities. It would place him in one of the loneliest and most enigmatic positions in human history, orbiting the Moon alone, with only the silent void of space as his companion. When the world talks about Apollo 11, names like Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin dominate the conversation. But the mission's success hinged on a third astronaut, Michael Collins, the man who remained in orbit, ensuring their safe return. His role was pivotal, his perspective unique, and his experience deeply mysterious. What Collins endured on this journey, especially during his solitary moments on the far side of the Moon, would leave him profoundly changed. And before his death, he hinted at something extraordinary, something NASA never wanted us to know: rigorous training months. Before Apollo 11's historic launch, the three astronauts underwent the most grueling training imaginable. The stakes were monumental, and there was no room for error. Michael Collins, as command module pilot, shouldered immense responsibility. His task wasn't just technical, it was psychological. For hours, he sat in simulators designed to replicate the cold, silent isolation he'd experience while orbiting the moon alone. These sessions tested his ability to remain calm under extreme conditions, especially during the moments when he would lose all communication with Earth. But Collins' preparation wasn't limited to isolation. Alongside Armstrong and Aldrin, he participated in countless rehearsals, perfecting every aspect of the mission. Simulators mimicked the docking maneuvers, lunar orbit, and re-entry procedures with ruthless precision, often throwing unexpected challenges their way. And then there was the teamwork. These three men couldn't afford to falter under pressure, so NASA placed a strong emphasis on building trust. Whether it was solving technical problems or enduring physically taxing exercises, Collins, Armstrong, and Aldrin became a unit, knowing their survival depended on each other. It wasn't just about working together, Collins later said. It was about trusting that when the moment came, we would all deliver. Journey to the Moon, July 16, 1969. The world held its breath as the Saturn V rocket, still the most powerful rocket ever built, carried three men toward the moon. For Collins, strapped into the command module Columbia, the experience was both thrilling and humbling. The launch was flawless. Within minutes, Apollo 11 reached Earth's orbit, a shimmering blue globe visible from their viewport. Then came the trans-lunar injection, a precisely timed engine burn that propelled the spacecraft toward the moon. For 3 days, the crew traveled through the void of space, coasting toward their lunar target. Collins, ever the meticulous pilot, monitored the spacecraft's systems and trajectory, ensuring everything remained on course. Upon reaching lunar orbit, the mission entered its most critical phase. Armstrong and Aldrin boarded the lunar module Eagle, preparing for their historic descent. As they separated from the command module, Collins watched them go, knowing he would spend the next 21 hours completely alone. Orbiting the moon alone, Michael Collins became the most isolated human being in history. For 48 minutes during each lunar orbit, he passed behind the far side of the moon, completely out of radio contact with both Earth and his crewmates. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen, Collins would later reflect. Beautiful, desolate, and haunting. But the silence wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. Collins described these moments as profoundly introspective, a time to reflect on the mission, his place in the universe, and the sheer audacity of human exploration. Yet in the years that followed, Collins began to hint at something more, something he witnessed during those solitary orbits. "I wasn't alone," he once said cryptically, refusing to elaborate further. His words, spoken decades after Apollo 11, ignited speculation. Did Collins see something NASA didn't want the world to know? A strange phenomenon, an unidentified structure, or something far beyond human comprehension? Before his death, Collins admitted he carried a secret, one he couldn't fully share. Whatever he encountered, it left an indelible mark on him, shaping his perspective on life, the universe, and humanity's place within it. Collins' role in Apollo 11 was more than just logistical. It was existential. Alone in the vast silence of space, he glimpsed something that continues to baffle and intrigue us. But what was it? And why did NASA remain silent? In the years that followed, Michael Collins' life took a quieter turn. Yet the questions about his experience on the far side of the moon remain unanswered. What he saw and what he hinted at continues to fuel speculation. But his cryptic statements might hold the key to uncovering one of space exploration's greatest mysteries. Stay with us as we delve deeper into the enigma of Michael Collins's final revelation. Life after Apollo 11. The world knew Michael Collins as a hero of Apollo 11, but after returning from one of humanity's greatest achievements, he didn't chase the spotlight. Instead, he carved out a quiet yet impactful life, one defined by leadership, family, and an unwavering belief in humanity's potential for exploration. Yet as Collins aged, his reflections on his time in space grew more profound. In the years leading up to his death, he hinted at something extraordinary, something that kept the world guessing. After Apollo 11, Collins returned to Earth not just as an astronaut, but as a global icon. Yet fame wasn't what he sought. In 1970, he left NASA and took a role as the Assistant Secretary of State for Public Affairs. But the confines of politics quickly proved stifling for a man used to breaking boundaries. Just a year later, he embraced a role that suited his passion. Director of the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. Under Collins' leadership, the museum became one of the most visited in the world. It wasn't just about the artifacts of flight, it was about inspiring future generations. Collins himself took pride in showing visitors the spacecraft that once carried him to the moon, sharing stories of humanity's leap into the cosmos. Space exploration, he often said, is not just about reaching new worlds. It's about inspiring new minds to believe that the impossible is within reach. Later, Collins transitioned into a role as an aerospace consultant, advising on projects that would shape the future of flight and space travel. His insights, drawn from years of piloting experimental aircraft and spacecraft, were invaluable to engineers and visionaries alike. Away from the public eye, Collins led a life of simplicity and reflection. He poured his thoughts into writing, crafting his autobiography, Carrying the Fire. Unlike many celebrity memoirs, Collins's book was hailed as deeply introspective, offering a raw and unflinching look at the trials and triumphs of space exploration. In it, he wrote, "I am alone now, truly alone, and absolutely isolated from any known life. I am it. If a count were taken, the score would be 3 billion plus 2 over on the other side of the moon, and 1 plus God knows what on this side." This solitude wasn't just a moment in space. It was a metaphor for his life after Apollo. Collins valued the quiet moments with his wife, Patricia, and their 3 children. He sought peace in nature, spending countless hours hiking, fishing, and marveling at the world's natural beauty. For Collins, these moments grounded him, reminding him of Earth's fragile beauty, a stark contrast to the vast, lifeless expanse of space. Even as he aged, his curiosity never waned. Collins remained an advocate for space exploration, attending conferences, mentoring younger astronauts, and encouraging humanity to dream big. He often spoke about the need for a manned mission to Mars, believing it was the next great leap for humanity. But as he approached the twilight of his life, Collins began to reflect on Apollo 11 in ways that left many puzzled. He hinted at something deeper, something he had rarely shared. "I saw things," he once said, "that I still can't fully explain. Being out there, orbiting the moon alone, it changes you. It makes you question everything you thought you knew." His cryptic statements would fuel speculation. What did Michael Collins really experience during those hours of solitude? Why did he remain so tight-lipped about it? As Collins's life drew to a close, he left behind a legacy of exploration, courage, and mystery. But the question lingered. Did he take the full truth of his Apollo 11 experience to the grave? Michael Collins lived a life that spanned worlds, both Earth's and beyond. But even in his quietest moments, he carried a secret that continues to captivate and intrigue. What did he see during those solitary orbits around the moon? And why did he choose to leave it shrouded in mystery? The mysterious admission before his passing, Michael Collins left us with more questions than answers. For decades, he carried the weight of an unspoken truth, something he saw during his solitary orbits around the moon's far side. And while he maintained his composure and professionalism throughout his life, his cryptic statements hinted at a secret that NASA may have been all too eager to suppress. Throughout his life, Collins reflected on his time aboard Apollo 11 with grace and humility. Yet whenever the conversation turned to his solo time orbiting the moon, a subtle change in his tone would emerge. He described the far side of the moon as peaceful and serene. But there was always a layer of ambiguity in his words. In one interview, he said, "I was never lonely up there. Far from it. It felt different. Not lonely, but not alone either." These statements raised eyebrows among space enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists alike. What did he mean by not alone? Was he simply reflecting on the enormity of space, or was there something more? Adding to the intrigue was NASA's tight-lipped approach to unexplained phenomena. Many astronauts have hinted at seeing or experiencing strange occurrences during their missions, lights, sounds, even inexplicable feelings of presence. Yet NASA has consistently downplayed or outright dismissed these claims. Could Collins have been under similar pressure to remain silent? The Apollo program was a monumental achievement, and any hint of the unknown could have jeopardized public trust. Collins himself admitted in his autobiography that the mission's success relied heavily on maintaining NASA's credibility. But as the years went on, the weight of his secret began to show. He would often say, "The far side of the moon stays with you," as though it held a memory he couldn't shake. For those who listened closely, it was clear there was more to his story, a truth he was unwilling, or perhaps unable, to share. The final revelation. As Michael Collins neared the end of his life, he began to speak more openly about his experiences in space. Though still careful with his words, he left behind a statement that would send shockwaves through both the scientific and conspiracy communities. In what many describe as a deathbed confession, Collins reportedly told a close confidant, "I'm sorry we lied. There is something on the far side of the moon. They told me I couldn't talk to anyone about what I saw, but there was something none of us could have ever expected." This shocking admission, though sparse in detail, reignited debates that had simmered for decades. What exactly did Collins mean by something? A structure, a phenomenon, or perhaps evidence of life beyond Earth? Unfortunately, Collins took the specifics of his experience to the grave. His confession, while tantalizing, offered no concrete answers, only a cryptic acknowledgement that something extraordinary had occurred. Adding to the mystery is the possibility that Collins confided in someone, perhaps a family member, a trusted colleague, or a lifelong friend. Did he leave behind written accounts of what he saw? Was there more to his story that NASA prevented him from sharing? NASA, for its part, has remained silent. They've neither confirmed nor denied Collins's statement, leaving room for speculation. Was this an admission of extraterrestrial contact? Evidence of a past civilization? Or was it a natural but misunderstood phenomenon that NASA deemed too controversial to reveal? Collins' final words leave us with more questions than answers. But one thing is certain: whatever he saw on the far side of the moon had a profound impact on him, shaping his reflections and fueling speculation for generations.
The thing I remember most is the view of planet Earth from a great distance. Tiny, very shiny, blue and white.
What lies on the moon's hidden side? A remnant of another time? A visitor from another world? Or simply a natural wonder too vast for us to comprehend? Perhaps someday we'll uncover the truth. But for now, we can only speculate, guided by the cryptic words of a man who saw what no one else has. Michael Collins' cryptic confession, "There is something on the far side of the moon," has left the world in a swirl of theories. What could he have seen? And why would NASA insist on silence? As we peer into the unknown, the possibilities are as fascinating as they are unsettling. One popular hypothesis suggests that Collins may have glimpsed evidence of extraterrestrial life, a structure or artifact that defies explanation. Could there be remnants of an advanced civilization hidden in the moon's craters? Or was he witness to something actively watching us? Others propose a more grounded theory. Collins might have encountered an unknown natural phenomenon, a geological anomaly, rare light refraction, or even an uncharted aspect of the moon's terrain. These explanations seem plausible, yet they fail to account for NASA's apparent insistence on secrecy. Another theory suggests that what Collins saw was a classified discovery, something tied to NASA or the military's covert research, a secret too great to risk revealing. Collins's enigmatic words have ignited the imaginations of millions. Could someone he trusted, perhaps a family member or close friend, be holding the key to his secret? And if so, will we ever hear the full story? What do you think Michael Collins saw on the far side of the moon? Could it change our understanding of space forever? Share your thoughts in the comments and join us as we continue to explore the mysteries of the cosmos.